CITES. Suppose there is a country A, and it has an animal of ecological importance, and the country A has tried its level best to protect the animal. And there is another country B, where there is an illegal demand of the animal or its body parts. So how the animal can be protected? Country A can protect the animal within its border, but how protection can be imparted for the animal outside its border? In such scenarios, CITES come into picture. The full form of CITES is Convention on International Trade of Wild Fauna and Flora. It is basically an international agreement between the governments with an aim to ensure that the trade of wild animal or plants should not hamper the existence or the survival of the species. So basically, CITES is an agreement between the government for the protection of wild flora and fauna. So how CITES came into picture? The idea of CITES was mooted in 1963 in a meeting of IUCN, and finally in 1975 it came into being. Initially there were 183 countries. India joined CITES in 1976, and here I would like to explain the difference between the signing and ratification. In any meeting or any convention, if the nations taking part in a meeting, they agree to the terms and condition, they sign there, and it is called signed. And after coming back to their nations, if they are successful in implementing, they implement it, and it's called ratification. So India has signed and ratified CITES. Its CITES headquarters is located in Geneva in Switzerland. And now I'd like to speak about the legal binding and flexibility of the CITES. CITES is legally binding on the conference of parties, on the government which is party to it, but it won't substitute or it won't supersede the existing laws or the acts of the country. The framework provided by the CITES won't supersede the Wildlife Protection Act, the Indian Forest Act. Rather, it will complement to such act. That is in brief the legal binding and flexibility of the CITES. So CITES is basically for protection of wild flora and fauna. So the species has to be mentioned. The species which will be protected by this convention. There are around 6,000 animal species and 30,000 plant species. So these species are categorized in Appendix 1, Appendix 2 and Appendix 3. These are basically the three lists where the degree of protection is given as per the threat level. So in Appendix 1, the species those face the danger of extinction are included. Commercial trade of such animal in Appendix 1 is not permitted, and exchange or export of such animal can take place only if for research purpose only, and the country exporting the animal has to ensure that the export won't hamper the survival of the species. The species which are mentioned in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act are mostly included in the Appendix 1 of the CITES. Coming back to Appendix 2 of the CITES, this species included in this Appendix 2 are those species which do not face the danger of extinction, but they need to be monitored. The trade of such animal or plant parts need to be monitored, otherwise the threat of extinction may come up. In Appendix 3, the species are included where in any one of the country it is being protected. The regulations is likely to vary. So these are the Appendix 1, 2, 3, and herein the species are being listed according to the degree of protection they do need. So coming to the structure of CITES. So in CITES there are committees. In the secretariat of the CITES there are some committees formed. There are animal committee, the plant committee. This include the expert member, expert from their particular domain. So plant and animal committee they formulate certain advisories regarding the inclusion of any species or exclusion of the species from the appendix, regarding upgradation or downgradation of the species in the appendix. And the standing committee include those advisories to the conference of parties, and subsequently they are being implemented in the nations there which are party to the CITES. So to sum up, why CITES is important, as we have spoken, it's tend to control the illegal trade of endangered species. It gives more strength to the custom department because the export and import will take place by some airports or some ship ports. So the custom department will have a framework for detaining, seizing, or initiating any legal action for transportation or export or import of endangered wild animal or plants. It also controls the spread of alien species. There are certain species which, if imported, likely to spread and replace the native species. So this regulation ultimately also help in checking the spread of alien species. And CITES also tend to help the people of the country where the plant or animal is found in that country, because if the proliferators are checked, the illegal trade is checked, so it is likely to benefit the local people of that country. And overall, it's helping in conservation of wild flora and fauna, as the harvest of natural resources are being regulated. I have shared one link which is worth reading. In Assam, it's a part of India. Here we find agar tree. So agar tree is very important for economic point of view, because the oil that is being formed by distillation of the agar wood is very costly, and it has tremendous potential not to improve the livelihood of the villagers but to make them rich. But that export of agar wood cannot take place, or its oil cannot, or its product cannot take place, because agar wood is included in the appendix 2 of CITES. So to lift this ban, not to lift this ban, to enable India to export agar wood or its product, it is important to quantify the amount of agar wood tree, and to suggest that harvesting this number of trees or this much volume of agar wood trees won't hamper the survival of the species. So Rainforest Research Institute is working on it. RFRI would quantify the amount of agar wood tree, that if that much trees will be harvested in a year, that won't hamper the survival of the agar trees. So if it is being approved, then the trade of agar would take place, and it will be good for the people of India or Assam. So I conclude here. I thank you for your patience listening. So thank you very much.